Dr. John mentioned we spend 90% of our time indoors. I'm going to ask you to think about it another way. Take your age and multiply it by 0.9. That's how many years you've lived indoors, your indoor age. I'm 47. I've spent 42 years of my life indoors, in homes, apartments, schools, airplanes, trains, buses. Think of it this way, it becomes obvious and intuitive that the indoor environment has an outsized impact on our health. So much so that, as I mentioned at an event Ashish hosted a few years ago at Harvard, the person who manages your building has a greater impact on your health than your doctor. Think about that. The original sin in the COVID response was the failure to recognize airborne transmission as the dominant mode of transmission. In addition to decades of science showing better ventilation associated with reduced spread of respiratory viruses, the early clues during COVID were obvious. Nearly all spread indoors in underventilated spaces and super spreading events with 90% attack rates that could not possibly be explained by droplet transmission or everyone touching the same elevator button. The case for airborne transmission is airtight. This means that buildings should be the first line of defense. This wouldn't be a problem, except for the fact that we haven't designed and operated our buildings with health or respiratory infection control as the goal. Instead, we've had standards that target bare minimum ventilation rates, like the ASHRAE standard, ventilation for acceptable indoor air quality. Acceptable is not acceptable. These standards have led us to seal up our buildings, choke off the air supply, despite decades of science showing us that current ventilation rates are too low. In response to the global energy crisis in the 70s, many tightened up their building envelopes to conserve energy, ushering in the sick building era. Energy efficiency at the expense of indoor health is a false choice. We can and must have both. We need to deploy existing and readily available technologies in our buildings to ensure healthy IAQ while reducing energy demand. In addition to the health and equity benefits, I want to point out that investing in healthy buildings is also just good business. We have an entire panel today focused on this point. Improving IAQ is a way to attract top talent, improve their health, and enhance productivity. Why spend dollars recruiting talent and then putting them in a place with poor IAQ where they can't think, concentrate, do their work, and they get sick more often? It doesn't make sense. Healthy buildings are really about protecting your people, your business, and your assets. Businesses must rethink their environmental health and safety and real estate strategies, moving past performative check-the-box IAQ and incorporate healthy buildings into their ESG plans. Put all this together, the COVID benefits, the health benefits, the equity benefits, the climate benefits, the business benefits. It becomes quite clear there's no reason not to improve indoor air quality in our buildings. Now that the world has experienced COVID, healthy buildings are no longer nice to have, they're the new minimum. Healthy buildings represent one of the single greatest public health opportunities of our lifetime. The decisions we make today regarding our buildings will determine our collective health for generations. I'm overwhelmed with optimism by what this opportunity, this moment and movement represents for improving the health of all people in all buildings, everywhere, every day. Thank you.